If I handed you $1 million today, how long will it really last? You say, most people immediately answer, it will last for the rest of my life. And that's understandable. But statistically speaking, they probably will be wrong because money doesn't disappear because people are poor. Money disappears because people don't understand investing. You see, here's the irony. People spend 20 years learning chemistry, 20 years learning medicine, 20 years learning engineering, but they will invest their entire retirement after watching 3 TikTok videos, for example. Imagine trying to become a heart surgeon after watching YouTube for one weekend. That's ridiculous. Yet millions of people do exactly that when it comes to their money. And they wonder why they lose so much money. Today, I'm not going to teach you how to pick stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I'm not going to tell you which cryptocurrency will explode. I'm not going to promise you'll become rich overnight. Instead, I'm going to teach you how wealthy investors actually think. Because investing isn't about finding the perfect investment, it's about becoming the kind of person who consistently makes intelligent decisions. So, your portfolio eventually will follow. So, let's begin. This is Dr. Kehinde Thomas. Mistake number one, investing before understanding the game. Imagine walking into a casino. You sit down, you don't know the rules, you don't know the odds, you don't know how the cards actually works. Will you bet your life savings? Of course not. Yet millions of people do exactly this with investing. Someone at work says, I made $20,000 on Nvidia. Another person says, Bitcoin is going to be $1 million. Okay? Someone else says, this ETF is guaranteed. So they invest. Not because they understand, because someone sounded confident. Confidence is not competence. Here's something I want you to remember. The market rewards understanding, not excitement. The wealthiest investors ask one question before every investment. What exactly am I buying? Not how much money can I make? I want you to think about that for a second. If you buy Apple, do you actually know how Apple makes money? If you buy Amazon, can you explain its business model to a 10-year-old? If the answer is no, you are not investing, you are just hoping. Hope is not an investment strategy. So here's a solution for you. Before investing $1, be able to answer 5 questions. What does the company do? How does it make money? Why is it valuable? What could make it fail? Will I still own it if the price dropped 50% tomorrow? If you can't answer those questions, then don't buy. Mistakes number 2, confusing price with value. This mistake has destroyed more wealth than almost anything else. People think expensive equals bad, cheap equals good, and that's not true. Let's imagine 2 houses. House A costs $150,000. House B costs $900,000. Without seeing either one, which is the better investment? You don't know. Because price tells you nothing. Value tells you everything. Now, let's apply that to stocks. People say, this stock is only $5. It's cheap. No. It may be the most expensive stock in the world. Another stock sells for $800. People say, it's too expensive. Maybe. Or maybe it's one of the greatest businesses ever created. The number on the price tag means almost nothing. The real question is, what are you getting for your money? This applies to real estate. It applies to businesses. It applies to gold. It applies to crypto. It applies to virtually everything. Poor investors chase low prices. Great investors chase high value. Solution is simple. Stop asking, how much does it cost? You just start asking the question, what is it really worth? Those are the two completely different questions that most people underrate. Now, that takes me to mistake number three, which is investing with emotions. Say, imagine you're driving, every 5 minutes, someone screams, turn left, now, turn right, stop, go. Will you get to your destination? Probably not. That's exactly what emotions do inside your brain. It is fear, it is greed, it's excitement, it's panic, it's regret. Most investing mistakes happen because people react instead of just thinking. Here's the cycle. Market goes up, everyone gets excited, people buy, the market falls. Everyone panics, people sell. Notice something? They're always buying high and they're always selling low. That's exactly backward. The greatest investors in history understand one thing: the market is designed to transfer money from emotional people to disciplined people. Let that kick in again. Read that again. Hear that again. It's all about your emotions under control. The market rewards emotional control, not intelligence. So the solution, therefore, is before making any investments, wait 24 hours. If you still believe it's a good decision tomorrow, proceed. If your excitement disappears overnight, it wasn't an investment, it was an emotion. That takes me to mistake number four: listening to people who have never built wealth. This one may offend a lot of people, but it needs to be said anyway. Who do you ask for fitness advice? Someone healthy? Who do you ask for business advice? Someone who's built a business? Then why do people make or take investing advice from people who are generally broke? Just because someone has an opinion doesn't make it valuable. Social media has created a strange illusion nowadays. Followers are not financial credentials. A viral video is not a proof of investing expertise. Even television financial personalities often they disagree with each other because no one can consistently predict markets. The best investors spend more time studying businesses than predicting headlines. So the solution therefore is to ask yourself, will I gladly trade financial lies with this person? If the answer is no, don't copy their investing decisions at all. That takes me to mistake number five: thinking investing is about getting rich quickly. This may actually be the biggest lie ever sold. People don't want wealth, people want speed. That's why lotteries exist. That's why scams exist. That's why people chase the newest can't miss investment. But real wealth rarely arrives dramatically, it compounds very quietly. Imagine planting an oak tree. Will you dig it up every week to see if it's growing? Of course not. Yet people check their investments every hour. Growth happens beneath the surface long before you see it. The same is true for money. The investor who earns steady returns over decades often finishes far ahead of the person chasing the next home run. The solution, therefore, will be, instead of asking, how fast can I double my money, ask, how can I still be investing successfully 30 years from now? That single question can change everything for you. You see, I've covered with you 5 mistakes today, but they all have one thing in common. None of them are really about money. They are about behavior. Investing is one of the few areas in life where knowledge matters, but discipline matters even more. So in this part right here, we're going to dive even deeper into the psychology of investing, talk about why intelligent people still make terrible investment decisions, why timing the market is one of the most expensive habits you could have, and why inflation silently steals your wealth from you, and diversification for safety. So meanwhile, while I'm about going through all of this with you, I want to learn how to make wise decisions because markets do change and it will change. Headlines will change. Technology will change. But sound investment principles endure. So let's get into it. The psychology that destroys wealth. You say, if I ask you a question right now, why is it that two people can invest in the exact same market during exactly the same years, and one retires wealthy while the other spends the rest of their life wondering where all their money actually went? It isn't because one was smarter. It isn't because one had insider information. It isn't because one had a crystal ball. It's because investing is less about predicting the future and more about managing yourself. The greatest battle in investing isn't between you and Wall Street. It's between you and the person you become when money is involved. Today, I'm going to take it even a step deeper because these mistakes don't happen because people are unintelligent. They happen because we're human. And if you can master your psychology, you will already be ahead of most investors. So, here goes mistake number 6: confusing investing with gambling. It's a sentence that will change how you think forever because every gamble is an investment of money, but not every investment is a gamble. What's the difference? Purpose. Imagine two people walk into the same casino. The first person says, I'm feeling lucky. The second says, I'm here because I calculated the probabilities. One is gambling, one is using mathematics. Now, let's apply this to investing. Someone buys a stock because our heart is going to explode. Someone buys crypto because my cousin doubled his money. Someone buys a meme stock because everybody online is buying it. That isn't investing. That's gambling wearing a business suit. Real investing begins with one question: what evidence supports my decision? Not what if this makes me rich? The solution, folks: never invest because someone else made money. Invest because you understand why the investment creates value. If you can't explain your investment in 1 minute, you probably shouldn't own it. That takes me to mistake number 7. Okay? Believing you can predict the market. Have you noticed one thing? Something very important. When markets rise, everyone suddenly becomes a genius. When market falls, those same experts all of a sudden disappear. Here is the truth. Somebody consistently predicts the markets, not television personalities, not billionaires, not economists, not YouTubers. The market has humbled people with PhDs, Nobel Prize winners, billion-dollar hedge funds. Yet, somehow, ordinary people think they will predict next Tuesday's market. The market doesn't reward prediction, it rewards preparation. Think of a sailor. He can't control the wind, but he can adjust his sails. Investing works exactly the same way. Stop trying to predict tomorrow. Prepare for every tomorrow. The solution will be, instead of asking, what will happen? Ask, if I am wrong, will I survive? That's how professionals think. And that's a very wise way of approaching this. Now, that takes me to mistake number 8. That's when you're investing without understanding the risk. People say, I'm willing to take risks. No. Most people have never actually experienced investment risk. Risk doesn't feel exciting, folks. Risk feels terrifying. Risk is opening your account and seeing half of your money gone. That's a risk. Risk is hearing the news tell you, this time is different. Risk is questioning every decision you've ever made. That's real. That's real risk. Here's what separates wealthy investors. They prepare emotionally before the storm arrives. Everyone loves investing in bull markets. Character is revealed in bear markets. So, never invest more than you can emotionally tolerate losing, because the biggest losses usually happen when people panic, not when markets fall. It's all about panicking. And that takes me to mistake number 9, which is chasing performance. Imagine driving your car looking only in the rear mirror. Will you reach your destination? Probably not. Yeah, that's exactly how many people invest. They buy whatever performed best last year. They buy yesterday's winners. But here's the problem though. By the time everyone knows something is amazing, much of the opportunity may already be reflected in the price already. History doesn't repeat, but human behavior does. People chase, markets correct, people panic, then they chase something else. It's an endless cycle. It's just the way it is. So don't ask what performed best. Ask what will I still be proud to own 10 years from now? Simple. Let's go to mistake number 10. Letting inflation quietly rob you. Because inflation is fascinating because it doesn't steal your money, it steals your purchasing power. Imagine someone promised to pay you $1 million 30 years from today. Sounds very exciting, but what if 30 years later, that $1 million only buys what 300,000 buys today? You didn't lose dollars, but you lost buying power. Inflation is very silent. It doesn't knock. It doesn't announce itself. It slowly makes everything more expensive. And many people don't realize they are losing wealth because their bank account balance is increasing. Growing numbers don't always mean growing wealth. So your investment should aim not only to grow, but to outpace inflation over a long period of time. That's one reason many investors choose diversified portfolios that have historically grown faster than inflation over decades, while recognizing that all investments carry risk and future returns are uncertain. Which takes me to mistake number 11, thinking diversification means owning many investments. People probably say, I own 50 stocks. Wonderful. But what if all 50 depend on the same economic trend? Are you really diversified? Imagine owning 5 pizza restaurants, 5 burger restaurants, 5 taco restaurants, 5 chicken restaurants. Different businesses? Yes. Different industry? No. You're still depending heavily on one part of the economy. Diversification isn't about quantity, it's about independence. The goal isn't to own more, the goal is to avoid having one event destroy your entire future. The solution is this: understand what truly drives each investment, not just how many investments you own. And that leads me to mistake number 12, ignoring taxes. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Two investors earn exactly the same return. One keeps more. Why? Taxes. It's not only what you earn, it's what you keep. That's why long-term investors often pay attention to account types, tax efficiency, and when gains are actually realized. Taxes doesn't mean you made a bad investment. They mean tax planning should be part of your investment strategy. The solution will be work with a qualified tax professional or financial advisor to understand how taxes fit into your long-term plan. You see, you notice something interesting here, that not one mistake requires higher intelligence. Every mistake was psychological, and that's encouraging because psychology can be trained. The greatest investment you ever make isn't into stocks, it's into real estate, it isn't into cryptocurrency, it's into becoming the kind of person who remains calm when everyone else loses theirs, because markets don't simply reveal your portfolio, they reveal your character. Here's a thought I want to leave with you. The market is one of the few places where patience gets paid. The loud investor usually makes headlines. The patient investor usually builds wealth quietly. And as I go into part 3 today, I'm going to move into the psychology to get you to understand, because I want to discuss the investing part, misunderstanding compound interest, fees, and the wealth over decades. How to navigate different market environments without relying on predictions. And if you find value in this series, I want to subscribe to this channel, so you can become a better investor. But remember though, You don't become wealthy because you found one perfect investment. You become wealthy because you consistently avoid the mistakes that destroy wealth. And I will see in more details in this in part three. The part three is the invisible forces that quietly destroy wealth. Imagine two people, both invest in the same amount of money, both earn the exact same annual return. Both start at the same age. 30 years later, one has already twice as much money, and the other barely. Crazy, right? It's also about what you lose without realizing you're losing it. Because most people think wealth is destroyed by market crashes. No. Market crashes make headlines. Invisible mistakes destroy fortunes. Today, for example, I'm going to be exposing, those invisible enemies for you to see. So let me go into mistake number 13. Thinking compound interest is about money. Everybody's heard that phrase. Compound interest, okay. Most people think compound interest is simply money making money. I disagree. Compound interest is really time multiplying good decisions. Imagine rolling a tiny snowball down a mountain. For the first few feet, nothing impressive happens. It barely grows. Someone watching will laugh. What a waste of time. But you keep rolling. Eventually, that tiny snowball becomes impossible to stop. Investing works exactly just like that. Exactly. The biggest mistakes isn't sharing and isn't starting with very little. The biggest mistake is stopping too early. Because most people quit right before compounding becomes extraordinary. Here's the irony. People underestimate what can happen in 20 years because they are obsessed with what will happen in 20 days. So they ignore everything else. Don't measure success monthly. Measure success by decades. And that takes me to mistake number 14. Waiting for the perfect time. This may be the most expensive sentence ever spoken. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Okay, now, so you understand, waiting for elections, waiting for recessions, waiting for the market to crash, waiting until next year that life passes while they are waiting. Imagine standing beside a swimming pool. You tell yourself, I'm going to jump in once the water becomes warm. It never happens. The water always feels cold before you jump. Markets feel exactly the same. There's never a perfect certainty. There's only the decision to begin. Solution. The perfect time rarely exists. Rarely. Having a thoughtful long-term investment plan and contributing to it consistently has historically mattered more than trying to identify the perfect entry point. That takes me to mistake 15. Believing more information creates better investors. We live in the information age. News never sleeps and markets never stop and phones constantly vibrate. People believe if I consume more information, I become a better investor. Actually, the opposite. That's normally what happens. Information creates noise. Noise creates fear. Fear creates poor decisions. Think about it. The greatest businesses in the world don't fundamentally change every hour, yet investors check prices every 15 minutes. Nothing about the business changed, only the emotions changed. We mistake activity for intelligence. Sometimes doing nothing is the smartest investment decision that you could ever make. You see, less news, more understanding, less prediction, more patience. Hear that again. Let's go to mistake number 16. Mistaking luck for skill. This one is dangerous. Go imagine flipping a coin 10 times. Someone gets 10 heads. Are they a genius? No. Probability happened. The same thing occurs in investing. Someone buys a stock, it triples immediately. They believe they are brilliant. Then they increase the risk. Eventually, luck runs out. Skill is repeating success through different market conditions. That's skill. Luck only has to work only once. Yeah. Say, judge your investing process, not just your outcome. A good process can still have bad years. A bad process can sometimes have lucky years. Over decades, process usually wins. That takes me to mistake number 17. That's called lifestyle inflation. This mistake has nothing to do with investing, yet it destroys investing. Income increases, so does spending. New car, larger house, luxury vacations, designer clothes. Nothing wrong with enjoying the process. The problem, though, lifestyle inflation is a mistake that have nothing to do with investing. It destroys investing. Income increases, so does spending. New car, larger house, luxury vacations, designer clothes. Nothing wrong with enjoying success. The problem is this: when your expenses grow faster than your investments, that's the problem. Many people don't become poor because they didn't earn enough. They become financially fragile because they spent everything that they earned. The wealthiest people I know, they often increased investments before increasing lifestyle. So every raise that you receive, pay your future first. Increase investing before increasing spending. And that takes me to mistake number 18, which is falling in love with investments. People fall in love with companies. People fall in love with real estate, gold, Bitcoin, AI, artificial intelligence, a particular CEO. They stop asking questions. They begin defending investments instead of evaluating them. And that's very dangerous. Great investors don't marry investments, they date them. If the facts change, they're willing to change their minds. Markets don't reward loyalty, markets reward objectivity. You see, never let your identity become attached to an investment so bad you feel like you own the investments. Investments should never own your thinking. Never. That takes me to mistake number 19. Forgetting that investing is about freedom. Here's what most people believe: money buys happiness. I don't think that's accurate. Money buys options, the ability to choose, okay? The ability to retire, to travel, to help families. They support causes, of course, I believe in. They spend more time with children is a beautiful thing. Investing really is about becoming rich. It's about creating freedom. When people remember that, they stop chasing excitement. They start building stability. Before every investment, ask yourself, how does this move me closer to freedom? If it doesn't, why am I doing it? And that takes me to mistake number 20. Having no written investments philosophy. Imagine building a house without blueprints. Every contractor builds whatever they feel like. That's chaos. That's exactly how many people actually invest. Today, they are buying tech. Tomorrow, it's crypto. Next week, it's gold. Next month is something trending online. There is no philosophy, only reactions. The greatest investors don't simply own investments, they follow principles. When markets panic, that philosophy doesn't panic. So write your own investment philosophy down. Mine might sound something like this: I invest for decades, not headlines. Or I buy assets because I understand them, not because they are popular. I diversify appropriately for my goals. I avoid emotional decisions. I measure success over years, not weeks. I accept that uncertainty is part of investing. I never risk money I cannot afford to lose. When life gets noisy, that philosophy becomes your compass to guide you. That takes me to mistake 21, investing without clear goals. People are just investing. They have no idea what they're investing in or for. Imagine getting into an airplane. The pilot says, "Welcome on board." Someone asks, "Where we're going?" The pilot replies, "I haven't decided yet. Will you stay on that plane?" That's how many people invest. No destinations, no timeline, no solutions. Every dollar should have an assignment. Either it's for retirement, either it's for college, either it's for independence, either it's for home, either it's for legacy. You know, goals determine the strategy. And that takes me to mistake number 22. Believing every market decline is a disaster. Markets falling isn't abnormal. It's the admission price of investing. Imagine buying a beachfront property every afternoon. The tide comes in. Will you panic? No, because you understand tides. Market declines are financial tides. They have happened throughout history. So don't prepare for a market that never falls. Prepare for one that always does. And that takes me to mistake number 23, ignoring cash flow. People obsess over returns all the time. Smart investors study cash flow instead. Families struggle because of cash flow. Businesses struggle because of cash flow. Even the wealthy people can go broke if their cash inflows don't support their obligations. So ask yourself, how much income do my investments actually produce me? Not only how much are they worth, but what do they produce me? That takes me to mistake number 24. Believing debt always makes you rich. Social media glorifies leverage. Borrow more. Use other people's money, OPM. Sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes it's financially destructive. Debt magnifies outcomes. Good investments become better. Bad investments become catastrophic. Never confuse leverage with intelligence. Two separate things. So that takes me to mistake 25. This is where you're comparing yourself to other investors. Comparison destroys discipline. Someone made 200%. Someone bought Bitcoin early. Someone found Nvidia years ago. Good for them. Your portfolio has one purpose: to fund your life, not impress strangers. Run your own race, folks. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, just your own race. That takes me to mistake number 26. Ignoring opportunity cost. Every dollar says yes to one thing and no to everything else. Buy one investment means not buying another. Every financial decision has an invisible cost. Every one of them. So the solution, instead of asking, what will I gain? Begin to ask, what am I giving up? And that takes me to mistake number 27. Investing without an emergency fund. Imagine building a skyscraper without a foundation. Eventually, gravity wins. Emergency savings protect investments. Without them, unexpected expenses often force people to sell investments at the worst possible time. So that's why you have to protect your investments by protecting yourself first. That takes me to mistake number 28. Trying to get rich from one investment. People look for the one. That one stock. That one house. That one crypto. That one startup. Real wealth usually comes from many good decisions, repeated consistently. That's why you don't build your future on one prediction. You never do that. That takes me to mistake number 29. Mistaking activity for progress. Buying, selling, checking, refreshing again, busy. By the way, none of this actually mean productivity. Sometimes the highest return decision is doing absolutely nothing, nada. The solution is this. Patience is often an investment strategy. And that takes me to mistake number 30. Ignoring behavioral biases. Your brain isn't designed for investing like that. It was designed for survival. That's why fear feels stronger than logic. That's why losses hurt more than gains feel good. Understanding your own psychology is part of becoming a better investor. Like you have to know who are you? Learn yourself before trying to master the market. That takes me to mistake number 31. Thinking the economy and the stock market are the same. The economy and the market are related, but they are not identical. Markets are forward looking. They react to expectations about the future, not just to these headlines. So you can't assume today's economic news automatically predicts tomorrow's market performance. That would be a wrong assumption. And that takes me to mistake 32, ignoring valuation. A great company can still be a poor investment. If you pay for more than it's worth, price matters, value matters more. So a wonderful business isn't automatically a wonderful purchase at any price. That takes me to mistake number 33, never reviewing your portfolio. Imagine driving across America without ever checking your fuel gauge. Investment should be reviewed periodically, not obsessively, to make sure that it's moving in the direction that it's supposed to go. This is why you schedule reviews. Don't live inside your portfolio. You do your review. That takes me to mistake number 34, forgetting that markets reward patience. Most people overestimate what happens in 1 year. They underestimate what happens in 20 years. Compounding rewards consistency more than excitement. This is the reason why you need to start thinking in decades, like think in 10 years, in decades. 35, mistake, investing based on headlines. News organizations make money by capturing attention. That's what they're paid for, not by building your retirement. Headlines are designed to make you feel urgent. Investing often rewards resisting unnecessary urgency. Solution is what? React less, research more. That's the solution. That takes me to mistake number 36, ignoring asset allocation. Many studies have found that the mix of assets you own, such as stocks, bonds, cash, has historically been a major driver, for a long-term portfolio. It's good that you spend hours choosing investments very wisely, minutes deciding how much belongs in each category. Allocation deserves careful, thoughtful process that influences both potential returns and risk. This is the reason why you focus first on the structure of your portfolio, then you worry about your individual investments later. That takes me to mistake number 37. This is confusing wealth with income. Someone earns $700,000, someone earns $120,000. Who becomes wealthy? Impossible to know. Income creates opportunity. Investing builds wealth. They are not the same, not the same at all. Measure net worth growth, not salary. And that takes me to mistake number 38. Never teaching your children about investing. One generation builds wealth, the next spends it. Because money wasn't discussed. Financial knowledge is an inheritance too. So teach investing at home long before your children receive money. And that takes me to mistake number 39. Thinking retirement is an age. People say, I will retire at 65. Why 65? Retirement isn't really an age, it's a financial condition. It's when your assets can sustainably support the lifestyle that you actually want. So you should stop asking, when can I retire? Start asking, when will my investments support my desired lifestyle? That takes me to mistake number 40. Believing wealth is built by intelligence alone. I will leave you with the biggest lessons of this entire series because after decades of studying successful investors, I've noticed something. The wealthiest people aren't always the smartest people. They just happen to be the most disciplined people. They stay invested, they remain humble, they keep learning, they don't let ego make decisions for them, they don't panic during downturns, they don't become overconfident during booms. They understand one timeless truth. The market doesn't pay you for being brilliant. It pays you for being disciplined over a long period of time. They say, I want to share a story with you. Imagine two farmers. The first farmer plants seeds and every morning digs them up to see whether they are grown or not. The second farmer plants the same trees, seeds, waters them, protects them, waits patiently. Who harvests more? Obviously, the second farmer. Investing works exactly the same way. Most people don't fail because they chose terrible investments. They fail because they interrupt the process constantly. They panic. They chase trends. They compare themselves to others. They abandon discipline. The investor who succeeds isn't necessarily the smartest person. It's often the person who remains consistent through uncertainty. So here's my challenge though. Stop trying to predict the next stock market. Stop searching for the next millionaire overnight story, but instead, become the kind of investor who can still make wise decisions even 10 years from now, because wealth is rarely built in one spectacular moment. It's built through thousands of ordinary decisions made with extraordinary discipline. And remember this, the greatest investment you will ever make isn't in the market, it's in the mindset you bring to the market. So now that you hear all of this stuff, okay, I want to be able to take you even to another story that I believe is going to help you bring this stuff, a little more practical for you, okay? You see, if you are a business owner, you're watching this, and you're just concerned about your investments, or maybe you're just regular Joe and you just want to be sure your investment is done right, whatever the case may be. I'm going to share this other story with you that I know it's going to help you have a better understanding. Biblically speaking, there's a portion of the Bible, if you're a Christian, where talents were awarded and given, out. And they come in, 5 shekels, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then what happened? The person with the biggest talents went and multiplied the talents. So maybe you got 3 shekels, you came back with 3. You get a 2, you came back with 2. Somebody had 1 and returned the 1 and said, sorry, I kept this. I don't want to lose it. I'm afraid of investing in it. I might lose it. So I want to protect it, so when you ask for it, I can give it back to you. According to that parable, of course, I may be off with all the details here. But according to the parable, literally, Jesus was talking about how they took the person with the 1, they took it away, that 1 talent away from that person, that 1 shekel away from that 1 person, and gave it to the person that had the most. You see, we call it Matthew's principles. I want to imagine today it's like you went to a poor neighborhood, you took the little dollar they have, and then you give it to Elon Musk. People will say, what do you mean? You're heartless. Why would you do that? It comes down to this. If you come and you learn, and you are picking up on incredible principles, how to get better with this game, but yet you're not changing, you're not executing, you're just like that person with that 1 talent, and eventually it gets taken from you. So when you watch a YouTube video like this, or I don't know, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is that you watch, and you get information like this, the one responsibility, fact check, say exactly what matters to you the most, extrapolate what matters, execute, and start showing some results from there. So that means you're using what we call a practical approach, like utilitarian approach to information. Now, let me take you to the second step. One of the issues that a lot of people have, typically is this whole thing about, lack of patience. But let me explain, if you are like a farmer, if you're a farmer and you're probably watching this, maybe you're one, you have to go buy a land, then you have to go buy seeds, you have to go buy tractors. Have you made any money yet? No. You're still investing in the business. Then you have to hire laborers. At this point, maybe you're even out of cash, but you're still investing in the business. And then automatically people are working, you're working, your whole entire people are working. That's a good thing. But then all this time, you haven't made any money, you're starving, you're eating, who knows, maybe you're eating hot dogs, Roman noodles, whatever the case might be. Everybody else, your friends, are all eating steak, filet mignon, etc. But barely surviving. But you have believed that one day you're going to harvest. So you actually have the authority and the desire to build something we call a silo. So you built a silo, right in the middle of your farm. Why? Because one day you're going to harvest. And a silo is what they build where all the harvest goes into when you harvest from the farm. Why though? Because one day you're going to harvest. You did all of this at the risk, of locusts coming to eat, essentially your fruit. You did this at the risk of drought. Maybe it wouldn't even rain and then everything would die. You did all of this not even thinking twice about it because, when harvest season comes, you're going to harvest. That's a strong faith. It's incredible faith. Unbelievable faith. Then as a farmer, what happened to you eventually is this harvest season comes around, then you harvest. And then when you harvest, you have enough to not only to feed yourself, you have enough to feed an entire village. That faith is an undescribable faith. The faith of a farmer is what an investor must have. Because when you're investing, you truly have to have faith that this investment is going to become something big for you. You have to have faith that this investment is going to get the job done. You have to be patient, patiently aggressive. This is a fully missing part, of this part, of investing. There are a lot of people, in my opinion, don't know that they should know that you have to be patient. All right, let me share something else with you in this regard, because your greatest asset isn't your portfolio. It's your ability to be able to make better decisions than you did yesterday. That's your greatest asset, which most people don't spend time on. So let's talk about personal developments, regarding your investments. You see, when it comes to your investing, outside, of course, you have to study and make sure you understand what you're investing into. These are all the logical aspects of this. You also have to make sure, you study the company, you study portfolio, you study just the basic knowledge. I'm not saying you need to become a financial advisor or, or a financial guru or anything. No, it's just you need to know where your money is going. Just like I mentioned earlier, what is the company doing? How is the company making their money? What kind of models they have? All these questions, you ought to be able to answer them. If you can't answer them, you shouldn't be investing. But let me talk about the role of your personal growth. Part of the reason why I spent significant amount of my life, on financial literacy, and personal growth is because I was a guy that was born, fairly poor. And then when my dad passed away, some of us struggled. 3 meals a day was a struggle. So I was born in Nigeria. So I understand this very clearly. To have and not to have. It's a blessing the life I live today. But that doesn't make me forget, where I came from or what it's like to not have it. That's why I have to give gratitude 24/7. If you know me, I'm a gratitude type of a guy. Like I give gratitude all day long. But when things are going and falling apart and people, I'm like, listen, just be grateful. And people don't understand that because I know gratitude is the most powerful thing you could ever possess. But anyway, let me go to this. If someone is not doing personal development, they are not growing. The inability to sharpen your brain and to get better has a certain type of repercussion. That repercussion is literally keeping you the same and not allowing you to grow the way you ought to grow, organically speaking. So imagine, for example, I have an iPhone, 17. Okay, that's good. But imagine if you still have maybe iPhone 4 or iPhone 6 or iPhone 8, in today's age. How practical will you operate? Imagine you try to even type something, it takes like 5 minutes for something to go through for you. How relevant will you be today? Do you realize that some people have been like that they haven't sharpened their brain? They're still operating, in an age of beeper, when we have iPhone everywhere because they're still in that mode. That's what happens sometimes in finance and in life. In life, lack of financial literacy, lack of personal development is a certain punishment. You lose money. Not only do you lose money, you're one of those people that you get taken advantage of because you never really took time to study how money really works. So, because of that, financial literacy is a necessity. As a matter of fact, I'm making the case that financial literacy should be a civic right or a civil right, just like any other right. Because absent of financial literacy is a sudden destruction of your wealth. And this is self-evident when you look around, literally. An athlete that make hundreds of millions of dollars, and a few years after retirement is broke as a joke. Why? Did that ever cross your mind? Because the blueprint of the money just was not there. So money came in, that's earnings, but retention of the money is not present. Why though? It's a different skill set. So that skill set is missing. All right. Or better still, if you're not reading and developing, imagine you're trying to process in the year 2026, you're trying to process issues and problems as if we're still in 1996. You'll be left behind. So if you're listening to me, get so good. Like when I say good, like get really, really good in financial literacy. Get really, really good in personal development. Get so good in personal development that anytime you have an opportunity to grow your wealth, just by you with your eagle's eye, just looking at case studies, looking at scenario, anticipating, the next big thing or worst thing, that you're able to position yourself in a way that it's a win-win situation for you. But that only comes if you have the financial literacy, if you have the growth. If you don't have the growth, you'll just be like anybody else. So growth is extremely important. Financial literacy is extremely important. I'm going to go to the last one. They say every business and every investment have both spiritual side and physical side to it. This is the part that I don't see this a lot on social media. I don't see people talking about this stuff. It's almost like it's left untouched, or it's just one of those things that people are just not comfortable talking about it. But I'll talk about it in this video today. You see, that is our physical life and there's our spiritual life. Both exist, and sometimes both run parallel. There are different type of beings, and we have different degrees, and literally of understanding of our universe. So if you look at our dimension, you will see there's a first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, 3Ds, 4Ds, 5Ds, all the way to 7Ds, okay? 7th dimension. Human beings exist in the plane of third dimension, okay? So like plant life, animal life, first, second dimension. So a human in a third dimension, is actually being bordered down and held back by your corporate body, your avatar, also known as your swimsuit, because it's your soul first, then your body second. It's not the other way around. Your soul first, your body second. Although sometimes people twist it backward, but if you understand it, then you understand what I mean, okay? So here's the thing. In the spiritual realm, for you to be able to materialize something in the physical world, you have to actually possess it first in the spiritual realm, because your faith will only go to where your head has been. So the concept here is you have to actually meditate. You got to visualize. You got to sit down in one place and say to yourself, what do I want my life to be? And then you articulate, then you imagine those things. You write things down. Now, what would be a dream life for you? And you get a pen and paper and you write those down. You want to write it down on pen and paper so that your hand is engaged, your eyes, everything's all engaged. Because we know, obviously, when you write things down, you trigger more of your nerves and etc., than you will if you were to type it in. So you want to be more connected in that way. Do you guys realize that the spiritual is more powerful than the physical all day long, 24/7? That's why when you're getting attacked, you get attacked spiritually first before physical attack. If you take a man's mind, you've taken him. If you take a woman's mind, you've taken her. So in the world of investing money, growth, etc., you actually have to nourish and cater for your own spirituality. It's extremely important. Because you have to be able to sit down and say to yourself, who am I? Where am I going? What's the purpose of my existence? Who created me? Why am I in this universe right here? And you got to really sit down and analyze stuff in a way perhaps that you've never done before. And then eventually you surrender yourself to more of your spiritual state of mind. And then when you do that, you do it with humility, understanding that everything that you're asking for, you're seeking for, will be yours in the material world if you understand the laws that governs wealth, if you understand the laws that governs money, if you understand the spiritual aspect of our lives. You see, it's not just about partying, clubbing, it's Friday, going out, having a good time, etc. Life is bigger than that. Way bigger than that. Life is going to treat you the way you treat it. And so this message I'm giving to you guys today, it's a message from my heart. It's a message that is a whole lot more, that you might think. This is a message I know for a fact that is going to change completely your life. I know that. This is a message I know it is so worth it. It's not even funny, because I want you to take your spiritual state so seriously so that when it comes to money, you know what's going to happen to you when you really start investing the correct way and you're so connected to your spiritual life? Like, you will have dreams where to invest. You have dreams on opportunities of investment. You have dreams, about the stock market, where your investment should go. You have dreams about real estate. Like, things are going to organically reveal themselves to you. This is how this goes. So, as you guys are watching this today, and as I'm pouring my heart out to you here to shift you, from the point of view of money, etc., etc., I just want you guys to understand we're coming from a very good place, to bring this knowledge to you. And if you're not subscribing to my channel, I really want you to. Because you're going to learn a lot just from you subscribing to this channel right here. Understanding that, like, you grow together with me right here. If this series helped you to think differently, I'd like you to subscribe. I'd like you to share this with someone that you actually care for, someone you care about, and leave a comment with the biggest investing lessons that you've ever learned, just from listening to this. I want to invest in wisdom. Yes, you heard me right. The best investment you could make is in yourself. So invest in your wisdom to get better, to learn quicker, to become a better version of yourself. Attend seminars, get a mentor, get close to the people that have already done the things that you want to do. Invest in patience. Yes, in patience. But don't slow down. Be a little more patient. Learn more. Yes, please. Learn more. Be slow to, literally to talking, quick to action. Study yourself. Do a personal identity audit on yourself so you can actually learn yourself and who you are, who you're about to become, where you're going. Have a clear understanding of who you are, a clear understanding of who you are. When you do, then you start to learn about patience, the things that takes you off, what upsets you, what excites you, what moves you, what encourages you. You begin to learn so much. But a woman or a man that has not conquered himself or herself, it's next to impossible to conquer the world of money. Why? Because you got to be very patient. And unfortunately, we live in this very aggressive type of a world where everything have to move or happen right here, right now, right this moment. Otherwise, you got considered to have lost, which is, I disagree with that. It's false. It's not true. In fact, smart people and wise people take their time. They study stuff. They learn. They get better. They tighten up. That's what smart people do. That's what wise people do. I want you to invest in your patience. If you need to seek help, seek help. If you're one of those people who just can't help yourself for whatever reason, you're not patient at all, slow down. Find some help. Get someone to be in your space. Get someone in your face telling you to calm down, to slow down, but invest in your patience. So invest in wisdom, invest in patience. And of course, remember what I said. Your biggest assets is not real estate. It's not luxury cars. It's not expensive watches. It's none of those, guys. It's not in this. It's not in all those things at all. No, your biggest investment is in you. It's in your head. As a man thinketh, so shall it be. So as you're investing, looking at different portfolio, looking where to put your asset, looking at all of those things, I want you to understand you come first. Your brain come first. Your mind come first. It's your ability to make better decisions that's the most important thing more than anything else. Once you figure this out and you realize how great you could become, I want you to unleash in the marketplace and go make yourself millions of dollars. Get rich, get wealthy, pass the wealth forward. Thank you for being with me here today. This is Dr. Kehinde Thomas, and it's all about financial literacy. Appreciate you guys. Follow me on my YouTube if you're not subscribing, and follow me on all my other social media platforms. But listen, remember very clearly, you got to work like it's up to you. You got to pray like it's up to God. Again, thank you for joining me.